because I don't know whether he's aware that that type of language and that type of fact-checking opposition, nowadays we are existing in a scenario where when people find what you are saying too powerful, they are quick to label you. So City who stands, he might start being labeled that he has become a government apologist. And that's what most of us
we already called that in the morning.
Tulifika huko kitambo.
Good, because one of the reasons I'm glad to come here is because we really try to have objective conversations, and what City is raising are very valid concerns. But there is a little hope, Mbuvi, that you cannot be able to really. It's not as doomsday as it might look, City. Why? Because in 2022, I want to think that it's for the first time, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the country almost started the trajectory of voting an agenda. Because when President Ruto put up the hustler narrative, the bottom-up economic transformation model, for the first time a campaign was anchored on something tangible. And this was able to start uniting the people from Bungoma, where I come from, all the way to Nyeri, without necessarily having heavy undertones of Mtuwetu and our tribes. And we go all the way to the election, and we can be able to see that actually defeats the Azimio plan. So, despite the fact that not a very huge margin, but there is a hope, there is a step in the right direction. Now, and that is why the current opposition is using what I would call a script that is off the old book. That you know what they are doing? Simply point out the problem and milk political capital. And you don't try to make any measurable sentiment about the solutions. We are in an international crisis such as fuel. This crisis is something that ordinarily, when we are reasonable people, should bring us together so to get a solution. But you are saying that the solution is maandamano. You get the movie?
Starting tomorrow,
you want to take people to the street to do what exactly? To talk about what exactly? And when you look keenly, you find that there are Kenyans who are also saying, no, wait a minute, this maandamano thing, so what are we going to do about it? What exactly is this about? So you're starting to see people, they might be a silent people, but there's starting to be conversations around, wait a minute, exactly the issues that City is raising. People are starting to ask, you guys as an opposition, this is what President Ruto has done to mitigate this crisis. You told us, and in fact, sometimes in your own narratives, you injure yourselves, because I heard them say that, in fact, the fuel price is high because President Ruto has put 5 shillings there for his for his profits.
And they have provided no evidence whatsoever to support that particular assertion.
Exactly. And even without them providing the evidence, City, when the mitigation happens on the fuel, it goes down by 9 shillings. So has President Ruto's profit disappeared? Because you said it was 5 shillings. Now it has come down way above the 5 shillings.
Maybe everyone has taken a haircut.
So people so people are now starting to read deeper into these narratives of the opposition. Because all opposition in Kenya is trying to do is what I call sentimentalism. They know that the only way they can survive is to anchor this campaign on emotions. So drive the emotional appeal to the highest height that you can ever get to. But what I'm telling them is that you might not be too certain today in the current Kenya. People are starting to become reasonable. People are starting to ask the hard questions. People are starting to look and say, wait a minute, but you are saying this president is a liar. But when I'm able to go to the hospital, for instance, Mbuvi, and I get a payment of my bill by SHA, I start questioning that thing you're talking to me about. When a person like me who comes from Western is able to drive down there, and I can be able to see the construction work happening on the Rironi Summit Road, I start questioning that thing. When a teacher is part of the 100,000 teachers that have been employed, that teacher starts wondering, is this really the lie that you're talking about? When a farmer starts looking at it and feeling like these maize are reduced from 7,500 on the fertilizer to 2,500, this farmer starts wondering whether it's true that actually this is a lie. When the president makes this declaration, for instance, about 8%, that we are going to move this to 8%. Remember, everything we are told that everything he says is a lie. When he says it and in less than 24 hours,
it happens.
It actually happens. Someone starts questioning whether this is actually narrative driving or is actually fact. So the truth is that we have